Good morning, everybody. Ed Carbazel here for MMAnews.com. Coming to you live after the morning of UFC 259. This Sunday submission for MMAnews.com. I'm doing a little early. Got a lot going on this weekend, so I got to get this in the books before I go about my day. So this is, of course, Sunday submission number 33, March 7th, the day after UFC 259. There's a lot to take away from the event, but before I continue, make sure you check out the MMAnews.com YouTube channel, where all this videos like this and our interviews that we do and things like that live. Like, subscribe, click the bell notification. We have an interview with Eric Anders, who I believe is fighting this coming weekend, so keep an eye on that. And then if you like the stuff that I do for all the outlets that I write for, you can follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. Before I move on about the event, and one thing about that, I know that Twitter is rolling out something called Spaces, which is kind of like Clubhouse. So I'm probably going to start doing like Spaces, like for fight nights. I saw Aaron Bronstetter and Dan from MMA Junkie did it last night. I joined in, but the thing is, so there's something called Spoon that's like that. And I tried to do it on there, but Spoon, it's the same concept, like Clubhouse. None of these people are new ideas. But most people, especially for MMA, most people are already on Twitter. So I'm gonna, once it rolls out for Android, because I'm an Android guy, I'm an old head, so I'm an Android guy. Once it rolls out for that, I'll be doing them live during fight nights on there. At least for like the prelim portions, that like whatever people watch, most people have regular TV or whatever. So like something that's on ESPN or Bellator or when Pro Fight League comes back in April, which there's articles up on that on MMAnews.com as well. So I'll probably be doing those just to test out, see how it is. But again, it's this drop-in audio, that you can chime in and chat and listen to. I'm kind of like, especially with everything going on. With COVID and everything, it's good. It's just another way to connect and stuff with people. So I just wanted to put that out there. I know it's rolling out like soon, so I figured I'd mention it. So again, if you're not following me on Twitter, that's me. And let's get into it, right? There's a lot of stuff to get into from last night, boy. So 7 takeaways piece up at MMAnews.com. UFC 259. Full results, and everything else are up at MMAnews.com if you want to see the details. Before I even get into the takeaways, I overall the card to me delivered as far as entertainment value. All the fighters. Thank God. It seems like it's a rare thing now, which is the first takeaway, by the way. It seems almost like a rarity that there was no last minute changes, right? We kind of got used to losing a fight or two when COVID. It's not. I said this, I think, last week on Sunday Submission. It is not uncommon, to have lost fights the day of events. In MMA, combat sports, however you want to term it, but whatever you follow, boxing, it happens. Stuff happens at weigh-ins. Fighters get sick or have a bad weight cut, etc. But then COVID added to that. So when you see a card as stacked as UFC 259 was with as many fights that were on it, a lot of us that cover the sport were kind of just like, and I was breaking a lot of balls at every outlet that I write for, and I was just saying, like, we're not gonna have all these fights come the weekend, but the weekend came and we got all our fights. Good coffee. I think the only COVID related thing that happened was at the press conference. They couldn't have Edwards and Bilal Muhammad at that. They were going to bring them in, and some sort of protocol had that removed. So, shout out to the good luck on for UFC 259. But that was probably the biggest takeaway from the event. Usually there's some stuff that happens during the week. So, and I kind of start writing this piece like fight week, because I know travel day is usually Tuesday for an event that's Saturday. So, things can happen between Tuesday and fight night. And man, knock on wood. I don't have any wood by me, but knock on wood. We didn't lose anything. So I'm happy about that as my voice cracks because it's cold in New Jersey and earlier than normal. We didn't lose anything. All right. Referee criticism. So this one we have a clip for. I know Herb Dean has been kind of like the we talk about the guard changing in MMA from like newer fighters, being older fighters, and then the path is changing. New guys coming in, and it seems like for referees to focus and take shots at, that's also having its own changing of the guard. You had Steve Mazzagatti, Mario Yamasaki, and now it looks like Herb Dean is the guy. So two things happen, right? The one that most people seem to notice was the Kai Kara-France and Rogerio Bontoran's fight ending with the confusing stoppage that were like, who's stopping this? Was it Kai Kara-France or was it Herb Dean, right? Because of the way it stopped. Now, one thing about that fight, hell of a way to come from behind with a victory, right? The whole match seemed to have France defending submissions from all types of back control, body triangle, what have you. And then when he finally did escape out of it, one thing in jiu-jitsu that they teach you is that, like, early on you have to learn to kind of get very comfortable in uncomfortable positions, right? So and that fight, like with what happened in that fight, perfect example of that. Patient, didn't panic, and then he got out of the position and wound up winning the fight. Knocked him out. But the way the stoppage happened, because of how he walked away, I think his opponent disputed it a little bit. But I mean, it was still a solid stop because the guy fell face front, which to me is always an indicator of a very bad knockout. When you fall and you don't put your hands out to kind of protect your face from hitting the ground, if you go head first in the ground, that's definitely worthy of a stoppage. So it got stopped regardless of who stopped it. So fighter safety number one. You got to be at least grateful for that, right? Good coffee. So now this is, again, the UFC doesn't show the full clip, but just pay attention to what happens. So this is the other referee, Mark Smith, during the Uros Medic and Elon Cruz fight. He drops him, and what you see, what I'm about to show you is going to take. It happens for longer than this clip goes, to the point that it almost looked like Smith was doing side to side Zumba or what have you during the fight. It's not going to show. I don't think it's going to show on here. Excuse me. Morning Jersey coffee throat. Here we go. Mute that so we don't get no. So there goes. You can see him doing a side to side. But like, my man's covering up. So that goes on for at least another 15 seconds. Again, the UFC cuts it off. I wonder if there's a better. Did I share it? I might have shared a better clip. But regardless of that, I mean, that goes on for a while, like to the point that there's I think at least two more times when this happens, Cruz attempts a single leg, which, I mean, okay, so in Smith's defense, he was doing something, right? But I don't know, it just didn't seem like, I guess, I mean, at the end of the day, it's up to the referee's point of view and their definition of intelligently defending themselves, right? So, I mean, yeah, maybe making the shell and trying to avoid damage and getting a takedown is probably a sign of intelligently defending yourself. But it just seemed like it went on a little too long. And I don't know. I was kind of with the thing about commentary during fights and fight night too. It's hard not to be swayed by what the commentary is saying. Whether you're, I mean, there's just people that are going to hate on everything that whoever's selected to do commentary, or they're going to agree. I have a lot of respect for both Daniel Cormier and Joe Rogan as martial artists, and Cormier as a competitor. Rogan too, because he competed in Taekwondo stuff too. So I know they're not talking out of their asses, right? They're definitely speaking from a point of view of experience of having felt pressure and pain and things like that. So and especially Daniel Cormier is a gamer, go getter. When he's on the fence, when he's on the side of saying you should have stopped the fight, then probably should have stopped the fight. But that's my opinion. I'm sure you have yours. So by all means, chime in on the YouTube comments. Let me know what you thought. Somebody other than Luke Lopez. Shout out to Luke Lopez for his loyalty, but trying to grow this thing up in here. Anyway, long time coming, but not like this. This is, of course, in reference to Aljamain Sterling's. He won the title, the bantamweight title, in a fashion that is not popular in mixed martial arts. It reminds me of was it Vitor Belfort? I think it was Vitor Belfort. Randy Couture and Vitor Belfort, it might be. Let me look that up. That wasn't it wasn't a BQ that Couture lost the title for. It was he got a cut, and it's one of the times he lost his light heavyweight title, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look it up. Yeah, that's it. Because they had an immediate rematch. UFC 46, January 2004, against Vitor Belfort. This reminded me of Vitor Belfort and Randy Couture. Again, that fight was stopped over. It's a technicality, right? So Randy Couture got a cut above his eyelid. Dangerous spot, couldn't continue. So, this is one of the things. This is one of the fights that made me not favor elbows in mixed martial arts, because, of course, Randy Couture still wanted to fight, and but for his own safety, they stopped it, just like they did this fight with Sterling and Jan, and he couldn't continue, so that made it a W for Belfort. They did an immediate rematch, and Couture got his belt back. So I don't know if that's what's going to happen here, because obviously they're going to do a rematch. Dana White said so at the post-fight press conference, that it's got to be done again because of this horrible knee that Jan threw. He tweeted that it was a mistake, but I mean, I don't know how. Maybe it was a language barrier, because again, Mark Smith was the ref for this. He did say down to signify that Sterling was down on both knees. Khabib translated for DC and said that in the corner he was asking if he should throw the knee, and they told him to do so. The down fighter rule is so complicated. I mean, you would think most guys at this level know, to at least let the opponent be rising before you throw anything. Sure, it takes away from the power, right? But you're not going to get disqualified. This fight was kind of, I was on the fence about, because I know Sterling was, he seemed a little anxious, or not apprehensive. He almost a little too turned up to do this. I mean, and why wouldn't you be? One of the things I wrote here was about his history and from the knockout to Marlon Moraes, and how he climbed up, and he was calling out Dominic Cruz and calling out Henry Cejudo, and he used to call him Henry Cedudu. You know what I mean? Like long time coming for him. So to have him get there and then have this happen, the emotion that he displayed, understood, right? You can't help but feel for the guy. So uh, I know it's easy for us sitting at home watching it, not sweating and moving and losing your cardio and getting tired. It's easy for us to go back quarterback. I know people are talking about we're trying to say Sterling was faking it together. I mean, look at the emotion that the man displayed. Guys like that don't want to win like that. He's already before even Jan started trying to defend himself. As soon as they took him to the hospital, Dana White said he's fine. It was reported to him that Aljamain Sterling was fine, and he was tweeting after the event himself, saying that he wants to do it again. The thing about that knee, so you can bash Peter Yan, you can bash or question Sterling acting or whatever, but the thing about sitting at home watching this stuff and armchairing it, this is, I mean, it's for every sport. You always got the experts that's sitting on a bar stool or on their couch, fat and overweight. In there's so many things going on for the human mind. Mistakes can happen, especially when something is high paced. You know, that whole thing about the translation and going back and forth. Shouldn't I throw the knee? I mean, that conversation probably happened faster than Jan could process what his body and his mind was firing off to his body to make happen. So I think it's just one of those things that happen in MMA that make for you got to give them both a pass, and that's why a rematch has to happen. And again, I don't blame Aljamain Sterling at all for throwing that belt on the floor, because if you look at the guys that come out of Team Sarah Longo, Weidman, Iaquinta, obviously Sarah himself, what's his name, the new young guy, Mirab, Devashvili, all those guys, this is what they live for. So to see it happen like that, Sterling, I have his tweet up here on the article. Not the way I ever want to win a fight, he tweets. It was close, competitive, and filled with action. I felt the knee was intentional, especially after the ref announced I was a down opponent. So I didn't expect to be hit. Jan is a bad dude. We will do it again. And Jan tweeted not long after this that it was a mistake. Again, I just feel like with everything going on, the heat of the moment, the lights, the adrenaline, and they're both taking damage, because it was my favorite title fight of the fight, next to the Amanda Nunes domination of Megan Anderson. And I love Megan Anderson. Like, she's fine, and I like her a lot. But definitely wasn't her night. When she fought Felicia Spencer, I people were talking about, like, when they tweeted out the shot of her arriving to the Apex, how she kind of didn't look like she was all there. I mean, whether it be nerves or jitters or what have you, or maybe she didn't have the best weight cut. You don't know what's going on with certain fighters. And I know Anderson. I feel like Anderson has definitely had issues where she kind of she might. I mean, and the woman's been a champion. She was Invicta FC featherweight champion before she got to the UFC. So I don't know. So something else must have been going on there. I mean, she lost, but to lose like that, I mean, or Nunes is just that good. I mean, I'm not trying to take anything away from Amanda Nunes. I mean, the woman has been beating the best of the best of the best of everyone and everything that's out there. So, hey, shout out to Amanda Nunes. I know Dana White said he'd like to get her a quick turnaround and have her defend again at 135. Nunes seems to be in the best place in her life with the baby, and you know, I don't know if you can get such a quick turnaround. Nunes, one of the things I believe she does well is she takes time to fully acclimate her body to those divisions. I know it's only a difference of 10 pounds, but listen, I'm walking around at least 20, 25 pounds fatter than I normally am since this goddamn pandemic started, and I'm feeling it in my knee and, and other places. So we'll leave it at that. But Dominic Cruz came back last night. One of my favorite fighters, inspirational people. Went against Casey Kenny. Did his thing with the footwork and the counter striking, and I was a little worried about the takedown attempts that he kept trying to do, and I thought he would catch a knee or that, but he just camouflages everything so well. Excuse me. He just camouflages everything so well in his movement that you're not going to I mean, they were saying Henry Cejudo. I mean, and Casey Kenny did try to do it. Henry Cejudo and TJ Dillashaw kind of like they attacked his legs to attack his movement, so he couldn't do the trickery that he was doing. But hey, when he pulls it off, it's a beautiful thing to watch. He called out Hans Molenkamp. So if you're not familiar with Hans Molenkamp, in this 7 takeaways piece over at MMAnews.com, I did drop a link to his Instagram profile, because that seems to be the target of his criticism. Apparently Dana White had nice things to say about him at the post-fight press conference, but he didn't always. And Dominic Cruz brought that up. I retweeted an image someone shared of it. The Great Fight Oracle shared of something Dana White said to Molenkamp about how he the best way to describe it is how he's mad thirsty for clout. He likes to take pictures and kind of like my podcast co-host Matthew Hawkins. He takes pictures with every fighter in the arena, and it's to create this image that, like Dominic Cruz said it best when he spoke to Brett Okamoto afterwards. That's probably on ESPN YouTube channel. You might see it on their social channels as well. But he's like, it's easy to do these things on social media and make it seem like, yeah, we're buddy or whatever. And apparently that's a thing that this Hans Molenkamp does. And he claims, I'm gonna look it up. I didn't look it up before I recorded this. How much time do we have? We got about 6 minutes. Let's see if he's supposed to have 3 fights. He's supposed to have 3 fights as a MMA fighter, but I don't see a combat sports record popping up for him, or even a Wikipedia page or whatever. So, listen, we're seeing YouTube guys fight professional level combat sports athletes, or basketball player, or professional athletes on, So if there's hype behind anything, apparently it'll get made. So one of the things I wrote in this 7 takeaways piece is if and Dominic Cruz is completely willing to do it as a charity thing. So one of the things I wrote here is, if you look at how, especially when it's under the UFC's banner, when you have 2 fighters anyway, like Dustin Poirier, Conor McGregor, that whole thing was born of them wanting to do something charitable and sitting at home, looking for competition. And while we were out waiting out this pandemic, or fighters that hard to get to fights, so they were willing to do it themselves. And then the UFC was like, okay, then let us handle that for you. And they had their fight. Poirier got his win, and both men did something charitable, like really, which is really cool. So, and Dominic Cruz made it clear with the Brett Okamoto interview that he's not beefing with the guy. There's nothing there. He's like, let's just do something charitable. I mean, listen, he's 35 years old. That's usually the end of someone's prime in combat sports. Like, that you're considered old when you're mid-30s in the fight business. So if he wants to do that against somebody, and he even said, with the weight difference, because I mean, if you look at I dropped a link to the Mullenkamp's Instagram there. He's a thick dude. He said he's probably got 100 pounds on him. So if it happens, why not, right? It would be nice. It would be nice. So, did I not? Oh, I completely went past it. Well, I kind of addressed it with Amanda Nunes. This takeaway: is there no one else? That's just about Amanda Nunes' complete domination. But I knew I had more to say about the Dominic Cruz Mullenkamp thing. So, and then Jan Blachowicz, the guy gets a lot of heat for the way he became champion, because it's the exodus of John Jones to heavyweight. He won his title, and then there's a lot, folks like myself like to see a champion defend their title, to see them legitimize their championship. We saw that last night, even though it was against technically someone that was a middleweight, not a light heavyweight, right? And this was Adesanya. So these last two takeaways are part of each other, because the UFC knows how to market their fights, right? They listen to they do some social listening and see where the hype is building for things, and so having Adesanya do this title fight for light heavyweight could have laid the seeds for the potential fight between, should John Jones go back down to 205, and we'll see these two together. And Adesanya fought a very smart fight. He's still one of the greatest strikers out there. I know he did his long-winded post-fight press conference speech where he said, if you're not on the train, and get the fuck off, or whatever. I'm still on the train, but I'm not on the train if he's gonna go to 205. I don't think, after seeing that, I don't see him beat John Jones. I don't see him beating John Jones. John Jones is definitely, especially when you look at those takedowns that happen. I don't see him beating John Jones. John Jones takes down high-level wrestlers on his natural ability. I mean, I know he wrestled and stuff too, but I mean, I know he's getting up there. I mean, the man became champion at 21 years old, so to call him old in the sport, it's still, I mean, we got to see what he does at heavyweight. I think if we see what John Jones does at heavyweight, and if it seems similar to what we saw Adesanya moving up to 205, maybe there's I don't know, some questions will be answered there. But one question we did get answered was like, I don't think we're going to see. I mean, I wanted to see Jones Adesanya. I don't want to see it after last night. And Dana White kind of seemed like he was on the same page. And the post-fight press conference, when they asked him, he said, Style Bender is a number one at 185. Stay at 185. Be the John Jones of the middleweight division. I mean, the dude. I mean, maybe when he gets older, he'll because we used to, your bones and stuff still grow till like, well, when you get older. So maybe as he gets older, and if I think he was, what, he weigh in at 193 or something like that. Like he had held a pizza box at the weigh-ins to weigh in. So I don't know, man. I'm with Dana White. I prefer to see him at keep his dominance at middleweight. Although he said he wanted to return because, I mean, so one of the things he said in his post-fight interview was dare to be great, which, I mean, you got to respect that. I mean, all these fighters are daring to be great. Every single person that chooses this as their path in life, there's not a lot of money in it, especially when you're starting out. And to be as good as these guys are, you literally have to give up any other focuses in your life. I mean, you're sure they play video games or whatever stuff. That's when everyone takes some time to wind down, but they do sacrifice a lot to be like Adesanya is as good as a striker as he is because he does nothing else, train. I mean, he's training and he's focusing on his grappling more. But that's what happened. So of course, John Jones I feel like watches every pay-per-view now until he's bulking up for heavyweight. And I mean, he teased him. He tweeted Dare to be great, and then he put something on Instagram, was like, so I guess we're not doing that super fight between them two. And not for nothing, after last night, again, I think a lot of any interest that was there might have waned, unless they salvage it on social media with some more back and forth. But I don't think we're going to get that anymore. And maybe, I don't know, if you guys please chime in. I'll read them off next week on next Sunday submission. Whether or not you agree with that or not, let me know. Because I can be convinced otherwise of you can change my mind. What's the guy with the meme? Change my mind with the coffee and the sign. Change my mind. So that's where I'm gonna leave it. Let me take this down. Again, thank you so much. Again, did this one a little early on Sunday. I have a lot of work to do, so I have to try to get everything done early so that I don't burn myself out. But thank you so much for watching. And again, this video always lives at the MMA.com YouTube channel. Click the bell, like, subscribe for future content like this and fighter interviews that we have coming soon. Also, check out MMAnews.com for your full results and fight news, UFC, PFL, Bellator. And we're trying to get more on there. And again, if you like the stuff I'm doing and you want to experiment with me on that Twitter Spaces thing when it hits Android, follow me on Twitter at Carbazel. I always follow back too. So, you know what I'm saying? Unless your social media profile looks a little weird, QAnon or whatever the hell's, whatever's looking scary out there these days. But stay safe, stay healthy. I'm tapping out. I'll see you next week.